I finally get to talk about Ragna's drive, the Soul Eater, for once now. I finally reached the point where I actually want to start talking about the drives now, and I guess I can start with Ragna since he's like the first well-known drive. So his drive is known as the Soul Eater, and normally you're able to awaken your drive. Well, actually, before I get to that, how you get a drive is basically your soul has to be related to the Azure somehow. You know, basically, it's kind of hard to explain, but the Azure has something to do with it. Your soul and your Azure has something to do with it, and when they have a connection, you can get a drive. Now, there are people who are born with drive, there are people who awaken it through different means or whatever, and there are people who just don't have one, you know. And the drive is actually very, very lore important in the X-Play series. In the main series, not so much. I mean, it depends on the drive, but there's most of the characters who have drives in the main series do not have them in the actual story of the series. For example, Jin's drive is Frostbite, Reito, able to, control ice. But that's not his drive. It's just driving gameplay, but as lore-wise, he doesn't have a canonical drive. Same thing going with Noelle. Her drive for gameplay is the chain revolver, her guns. But that's not, lore related. She doesn't have technically she doesn't have a drive in lore. There's only a few people who even have a drive in the lore, and that's Ragna, who wasn't even born with one. He only got his through the Azure solely. Rachel actually has her drive, Sylphid, which actually, controls the wind. If I remember correctly, I think Relius is the only other one with a drive. It's not Detonator. It's the drive that creates the little marionette arms. It's because his driving gameplay is where he gets able to control Ignis, but that's not it. His actual drive is to create the little marionette arms, and I think the only other one that is canonical is Naoto. Bloodedge. Both in gameplay and in canon. I would count Izanami because Izanami is a walking drive herself, and other than that, I think the Origin counts because Izanami is the drive of the Origin. But not getting into extra canonical things like Bloodedge Experience or X-Blaze, there are only very few people who actually have a drive in canon. I don't want to say like in gameplay wise, because some of the gameplay drives kind of don't make sense. Like with Noelle's chain revolver, that's just the ability to use her bulwark, so it doesn't really count in my opinion. So moving on to Soul Eater itself, basically the Soul Eater is to suck out the souls of basically anyone that of any victim that Ragna somehow comes across. Now the thing about the Soul Eater is that you can get it through the Azure, but it was also a parasitic drive. Now you could say that the drive actually latched itself onto the Azure somehow, or it was just unique to the Azure. No one knows, because the only other person besides Ragna to have the drive of the Soul Eater was Saya Terumi, and it basically latched onto herself, latched onto Saya Terumi, but it's not like that's it. That's like pretty much like I don't know, because like there's no way to say that people's drives can be exactly the same. Everybody use that from what the characters have canonically. They have a unique drive. There's no two characters that share the same drive. There's no two characters that share the same drive. So it's either Saya has her own version of the drive, which she kind of doesn't. It's the same drive. She just sucks the souls out of people, just like Ragna does. But I had like a theory about how Ragna. No, it doesn't work. But anyway, the point is, Saya got the drive. She did this, she killed the whole Terumi family with the drive, and then, yada yada. Then the drive basically just, was gone after she died. Well, she didn't die. She was beaten, but I think the drive was gone after that. And then way later, Ragna gained the drive when he started to use the Azure. He wasn't born with one. The Azure gave it to him. And now here's another weird thing I have about this drive, that like you don't really see Ragna suck the souls of his victims all that much within the story. He implies it, and I think he done it a couple times in story, but he's never actually done it anymore afterwards, because for whatever reason, like the Soul Eater drive and subsequently the Azure is basically treated as a power boost technically, but his main purpose of the Soul Eater drive was just to suck the soul out of victims. Now Ragna's done that, but he really stops doing it right after Continuum Shift. I'm sorry, Calamity Trigger and Continuum Shift. I'm not sure if he did that much Continuum Shift, but he did it in Calamity Trigger. But the thing about the Soul Eater is that it can also suck. It can also not suck. It can also it can also steal the dreams of the chosen people who were the chosen. It's kind of like the people, basically people inside the embryo, because the people that were chosen inside the embryo were still able to use Ars Maggots even after the Seether was gone. And so Ragna was able to steal their dreams and desires with the Azure, and I kind of don't get that. I don't know how he, like, it's not even explained how he did it personally. Like, there's like two theories I got. One, it's due to the Azure anyway. Like, I don't know, the Azure could just steal desires from people. Two, that their dreams are like very close, like it has something to do with their soul, or it has something to do with Azure. And since the drive is basically is born through the connection of the Azure anyway, well, those were born with it connection with the Azure anyway. I guess it makes sense because those people have to wish on the Azure in order to get their dreams to come true. So I guess that's the only other theory I can get to work with. But the point is, the Soul Eater's just main purpose is just to suck the souls out of people or steal the dreams and desires of the chosen. Which, I mean, whenever that's going to be, it only has been used once. Okay, it only has been used once, and there was no reason. There's no reason to use it again, because after that, that's the end of the series. I also have to mention that Ragna heavily relied on healing himself through the Soul Eater. It's not the... Now, people got confused with if it was the Azure healing him. Not really, it was the Soul Eater doing it, and, you know, it's kind of hard to heal himself through... it's kind of hard for him to regenerate his wounds caused by several Nox Noctores, because, for example... Like, Nox Noctores, like, deal damage to the soul, technically, and, you know, it's kind of hard to heal that. And it was shown in one of the games, I think it was Chronophantasma, that Ragna got injured by Nirvana, and he could not heal it, really. It took him forever to heal it, other than the instant healing you usually do, because Nirvana's claws were made from Kushina's linchpin, which kind of, you know, negates that anyway, so... Yeah, that's another thing that Azure can do. It can heal you. It can also, like, latch on to people, so... I don't know why the drive was made parasitic. It kind of seems kind of stupid to have two versions of the drive. Now, you could say just, hey, the Saya's Soul Eater was the Bloodedge Experience version of that. It could make sense, I guess. I mean, now it's technically the Bloodedge world of Ragna, so I guess that could work. I don't know. But yeah, the point is the Soul Eater just does, you know, steal their life force. You know, steal their life force, heal the user. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Though it is said that's by Saya that you have to be on contact to do it, and you can able to kiss a kiss a victim and drain their life force more quickly, other than like someone like Ragna grab you by the neck or something like that. You're able to, I don't know why kissing, but that's just something apparently that happens. But other than that, that's the end for the Soul Eater drive. I might get to the talk about the Azure, because I've been avoiding talking about the Azure the whole time. I wanted to strictly keep my focus on Soul Eater, but other than that, I'm out, guys. See you all next time.